My graduation was delayed for an entire year. Like, I don't really like reading. If I get into law, it will require a lot of reading. I would have been a businesswoman.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah.
Business doing what? I have doctor. She's a freshly minted doctor. Dr. Kriza Calumba. Did I pronounce your middle name well?
Kriza Faye.
Faye.
Close enough.
Kriza Calumba from the Philippines.
Yeah.
So I have somebody from the Philippines here. I'm going to let her talk about herself, but I also like to talk about my guests, in a way that you feel like I have some relationship with them, which I do.
Yeah, you do.
So she just got a PhD in food science from here, University of Tennessee at Knoxville. And she's from Philippines. She's currently a professor actually in her university. I can't remember the name of your university.
Yeah,
You're going to tell us more about that. But I know she got a master's from University of Louisiana.
Louisiana State University.
In
Baton Rouge.
That's where you went for 3 minutes.
Yes, I know. It was perfect.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And then I know she got a bachelor's from Philippines. So I would let her talk more about her background before we get started. So, Dr. Calumba.
Come on. I'm still not used to it.
you gotta get used to it.
Okay, I will.
Yeah. Can you tell us, just a little bit about your academic background before we go on?
Yeah, sure. So as Iano mentioned, I'm Kriza. I am from the Philippines, in a city in the south called Davao City. Yeah. And I graduated from the University of the Philippines, Mindanao. Okay. It's also in Davao City. I got my bachelor's degree in food technology in 2014, a while back.
That was the year I started my bachelor's.
Oh! I see the age gap here.
Yeah, I do see it.
Yeah. And then I had the opportunity to get a Fulbright scholarship to pursue my master's in food science at Louisiana State University. That was in 2017. And then in 2019, I went back to my faculty position.
That's great.
So in the University of the Philippines, Mindanao, I am in the Department of Food Science and Chemistry. Oh. And in 2023, I had this very unique experience of meeting someone from UTK in the Philippines, and the rest was just history. That's just, it's a very interesting story to tell people. I don't need to go into details into that now.
You can if you want. Honestly, sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah,
I had it in mind for us to talk about how I met you.
Yeah.
And there's no way I'll talk about meeting you without mentioning Clyde. If that's who you're referring
Clyde
to.
is my husband.
Okay, so anyways, go back to 2023.
Yeah. I was just saying that I started my PhD here in the Department of Food Science in 2023. Yeah. And after three years and 1 semester, I'm graduating next week.
Yes.
With a PhD in food science. And that's my journey so far. The next chapter is going back to my faculty position in the University of the Philippines, Mindanao. And I'm really excited to share my knowledge and continue teaching and, shaping the minds of the future generations of food scientists.
That's good.
And give back to the Philippines.
Yeah, that's really great. I'm going to say, since you've already started to mention some how I met you, I think the first time I met you in person was at Jen and Fritz's house.
Yeah, I've known you before that. So Iano is was the president of the Graduate Student Senate. So I've known you.
Okay, thank you. So I know I've known Clyde, your husband, before then you guys came together to Jen and Fritz's
house.
It was an Easter celebration. I came with my family too, and then I met you there. I'm like, oh yeah, I know you. And then I saw you again at the GSS event, the awards event. Or was it the awards before?
I think it was after that. The awards
was after
the Easter thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I think.
Then of course I knew you're director of graduate studies from my role as the GSS. So when I saw you both together, I'm like, yeah, I know you and I know you. And then we did the 3 minute thesis together.
Yes.
She crushed all of us, guys.
Yeah, no 1 hour heat.
Anyways,
It was just perfect.
it was great. So we did the 3-minute thesis together, which is, for those of you who don't know, the 3MT. It's a challenge that your school, schools around the world now do, that gives a graduate student or graduate students the responsibility to communicate their research in 3 minutes to a lay audience. So think of, you're working on a cancer research or probiotics, and you have to talk about that to people who are not in your field for 3. Anyways, so that's how I got to know her more. And then, of course, she won, and then she went to represent the school at Baton Rouge, which she went back home. Anyways, we'll talk about that also shortly. But I would like you to start with, what has being in academic space mean for you, thinking of where you started from? Like, could you tell a story of how you got to where you are now? Whatever that means to you.
Yeah, wow, that's a very broad question.
Yeah.
But I guess it goes back to my values. I think learning is very important for me.
Right.
I think learning is a lifelong thing. It does not stop in school. And I think I've just always been hungry to learn something new. I like to take on new challenges. I like to learn new things and explore new things and continuously challenge myself, but not just for myself, not just for the sake of learning something new for myself. But I've always wanted to share my knowledge and my skills to others in whatever capacity I have. So I think with my upbringing, I've always really enjoyed learning. Since I was a kid, I always enjoyed learning. And then when I graduated from college, I was very blessed to be offered a faculty position, and then it was just I would not say a very smooth journey. There were a lot of bumps along the way.
Talk about them.
Yeah, for sure. But then I'm just really happy to be introduced to all these opportunities. And I mean, these opportunities are not afforded to everyone. And that is also something I'm very, I feel strongly about, that it would be great for all these opportunities to be more equally distributed to everyone. Because getting here, coming to UT, getting a PhD, it's not because I am good, but it's because I was given this opportunity. And how much better would the world be if, everyone gets that kind of opportunity, right? We are here, we may be here, but that does not mean that we are smarter than other people.
Right.
It's just that they probably do not know of these opportunities, or they do not have access to these opportunities. So I'm very grateful to be where I am right now. But at the same time, I also hope that these opportunities will be shared to other people as well. So yeah, with that journey, until now, getting a PhD and then being excited to go back to the Philippines, I know I will have more to learn, and I'm just really excited, thinking about both the academic side of it and also the non-academic, the personal growth that comes with. Yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, it's definitely good. And I'm making notes. If you see me typing, I'm not.
For sure.
I'm just taking notes. I don't want to interrupt you. If you see me type, I'm really just taking notes of follow-up questions. So I think you did you go to Singapore at some point?
Oh,
Can you tell me the story of being in Singapore?
Yes.
What took you there, and what did you do there?
Yeah, for sure. So I was I was an incoming senior in college, in my undergrad, and I applied for this undergraduate exchange program at the National University of Singapore. So at the time, in my university, in our university in the Philippines, there were not many opportunities like that, and I was perhaps one of the first from my particular university, so it was kind of a big deal. But then at the time, I had to pick between going on a semester to NUS, National University of Singapore, for that exchange program, or graduating on time, because our academic calendar in the Philippines at that time was different. It was not August to May calendar, but then
is it January to December or what?
Well, yeah, at that time, classes started in June.
Oh, okay.
So it was which I did, when I went to Singapore and then came back, it was already in the middle of the semester. So I was delayed. My graduation was delayed for an entire year, not just for one semester. So anyway, that was a big decision for me. But then I was willing to go through that and have my graduation delayed because I really wanted to explore, like, go out there and broaden my perspective, not just about food science, but about the world. And that was my first experience outside the Philippines. And I got out of my comfort zone, and I saw the reality that it was like I was probably just inside a bubble. But then going to the National University of Singapore made me realize how life can still be improved in many ways. How other people have different experiences than mine or than many Filipinos. So I think that was a start, and then that actually inspired me to continue learning. I was given that opportunity to go on an exchange program in that very, it's a beautiful university, and it's the top university in Asia, I guess.
That's right.
So, yep, it was really competitive, but I was young. I was there to, explore, travel, meet friends, and I've actually made a lot of lifelong friends just from one semester in the National University of Singapore. But yep, that happened, and then I also got to learn a lot of things about, food science and just life in general. So it was a really important part of my journey. It was just one semester, but I really learned a lot from it, and I've really grown, and that has inspired me to continue learning and continue seeking for new opportunities.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I see a lot of questions there. So you went to Singapore and you said you saw some realities. Is there a story you'd like to share about something that was very surprising to you, that was different, and that kind of formed the basis of you wanting to do even more, maybe wanting to come to the US even? So can you talk maybe a story of something you saw that looked different for you, that changed your opinion about something and that wanted you to seek more international exposure?
Oh, that's a deep question. Well, I think it was all about how Singapore as a country is very different from the Philippines. It's in terms of, the Philippines is a third world country. Singapore, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a first world country, right?
I'm not sure to check.
Yes, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. But
more advanced.
Yes, more advanced. I think with that, it's my first time to get exposed to that kind of environment, and then it broadened my understanding about how the Filipinos deserve better, I would say. So I think with that, I know I can only do so much, right? Yeah. So with what I can do, like, I can stay in this route in my journey and help shape the minds of the future generations as a teacher. So I'm like, to do that, I will have to learn more and gain more experiences, and then eventually share those.
Okay, so you're not only a grad student, you're already in the academic space, you're a professor in that sense. What do you think inspired you to want to take that role? I know you were given that role after your graduation. That could have, were you thinking of something differently than then? And when you got that, did it change how you saw yourself? Like, really, just talk about that process.
Yeah, sure.
Was it planned? Was it just by chance because it was given to you? And if it was, how did it change how you view yourself in academic space?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I've always known that I wanted a job where I can interact and influence people, maybe. Yeah. And I think teaching was the perfect job for me. Well, I was able to experience a few weeks working in the food industry, and then like on the job training or like an internship in the Philippines. I would say it was not for me. So I think I just wanted to see more people every day. I think that's it. You know, I like to be challenged. As a professor, it's not just teaching. We also do research. We try to troubleshoot things.
Yeah.
We try to think of novel ideas. We try to innovate. We try to help students. We do mentoring. So I think with that, thankfully it was not that difficult for me to figure out what I've wanted since the beginning. Although in my like 6th grade yearbook, I remember putting there, I want to be a lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
But
I wanted to be a doctor.
oh, you know,
I know.
well, we had those dreams before.
I know.
And then eventually I got to be more self-aware. And then I was like, I don't really like reading. If I get into law, it will require a lot of
Read a lot
reading,
of
you
books.
know? So I think it was also a lot of self-awareness about what I like, where I find what you call that, fulfillment from. And it has been through teaching, research, and being in the academe.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So it's been a journey. You said you graduated in 2015.
The year you started.
Yeah, the year I started my bachelor's.
Yeah.
So the question I want to ask is, how has this journey changed you? What is the most significant change you would think when you look back, the Kriza that started 4 years before 2014, maybe 2010,
wow. Yeah.
and the Kriza walking down the stage to receive a PhD next week? What a significant change you would say has happened to you?
Oh wow! That I would say many, but that's a very difficult question to pinpoint a particular thing.
Yeah, whichever one makes sense to you most.
Yeah, sure. I think through the years, and even in the years after now, like in the future.
Yeah.
I think I have become more teachable. I think teachability is very important. In my journey, I think I have learned so much. I've grown so much, both professionally and personally. But I think regardless of your stage in your career and in life, it's important to be teachable. And I think I have improved in terms of my teachability. And I think that's also what I want my future mentees to learn. Like, we don't know all the answers to all these questions. There's always a chance to learn something new, a chance to improve. So I think it's
Is there a personal story you'd like to share to support this or no?
Personal story? Let me see. Oh, maybe I can do the 3 minutes as an example.
Okay, tell me.
Yeah, sure. So I think with that 3-minute thesis experience, as Iano mentioned, you guys should have to try doing the 3-minute thesis. It's a good experience, a good chance to share your research to the layman audience. Anyway, I think with the 3-minute thesis, I prepared, but then during the heat, I made use of the opportunity to consult the folks from the graduate school. I was confident with my script, with my slide, but then I was like, I'm confident, but I cannot be super confident to know I'm gonna do really great on that stage, So I used that, and then I got feedback from them, and even after the heat, for the finals. So in the heat, we were in the same heat, and Iano was so great. Iano won the heat, guys.
Coming from the winner.
Well, similar, Anyway,
research as well.
Yeah, similar research. But Iano did really great. With that, I was able to get feedback about my presentation, and I used that I took the feedback seriously. I think that's also one thing, just talking about being teachable, taking feedback seriously. Feedback, we have to consider feedback as something constructive, something that would help us, regardless of the manner we receive the feedback. That does not matter at all. It's the feedback itself that we get. So I took the feedback seriously. I tried to improve my script and practice. I practice a lot with Clyde, my husband. He probably memorized the script as well. But yeah, I think that's just a simple example. No matter how much we think that we know things, and it's true that we may know things. We may be confident at doing things, but I think it's also important to be open to getting feedback, and learning and improving. So that's just a simple example, I guess.
Thank you for sharing that. So
Yeah.
let's go back again to the beginning, which is you talked about some bumps along the way, using your words. And what are some examples of some bumps you think happened on your journey that, if you get on a bump while driving, it's gonna make you move this way. You might think you're losing control. So, what's an
Yeah.
example of a bump that you
Yeah.
think was on your journey so far? That's really
Yeah.
significant one.
Yeah, for sure. I think the bump, and I wanna share this one, so other women in the academy can relate. It's not like very drastic, but it builds up through time. I think specifically for women, again, it's kind of challenging to insert our personal goals in the academic journey. And this may be something personal, but I'm willing to share it. And I'm really grateful for the patience of my husband for waiting for me to finish this chapter before we start another chapter. I think that's one challenging thing, because in the academe, it's one thing after another,
Yeah.
right?
There's no space.
Yes, it's one thing after another. Like, things can happen very fast. And we also have personal goals. Like, not all of us, but maybe many of us want to start a family. So I think that's one thing that that can be considered a bump, but it was like, it built up through time. And then now that I'm getting my PhD, I'm just really excited to start that chapter as well. But it's also because of the support of everyone around me. Like, this journey, it's not just us.
Yeah.
It's not just like us, or like us and our partner.
Yeah.
It's shaped by everyone in our surroundings, our environment. And I'm just really happy to be where we are and where I am right now.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. And I know it's usually said about how, I think I read an article about, I can't remember the title of the article, but really about what happens after women in academia start a family, how their career kind of goes down. The article compares it to men,
Right.
So what's one word you'd like to say, excuse me, to a woman right now watching this who is questioning their space here because of so many things, like personal life goals, like just really struggling to make things work out? What's one word you're going to say to them?
I think I would say, regardless of everything you're experiencing, I know the struggles are not easy, but I gotta say, just don't lose the drive. Keep that fire burning. I know it's easier said than done.
Yep.
Because our priorities can change.
Yes.
Having a family, the priorities can totally change, and we may be we may be used to being in an academic environment, and then women start a family, and then with all the responsibilities that come with being a wife and a mother, it's not easy. And I know this advice can be, of course, easier said than done, but I just wanna remind you to just don't lose that inside you, because that is part of who you are. That is part of your journey. Just don't lose the fire inside.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. So I know you told me that you've always known that you wanted to teach.
Yeah.
But still, along that journey, was there a time you questioned, am I really supposed to be here? Was there a time you really questioned, because of anything, like, was there a time you questioned yourself?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
I think, though, for that question, I think it's more of a it's more because of the system.
Yeah, a systemic issue.
Yes, because I see how different the universities work here and in the Philippines, and I would have just hoped for more seamless and more convenient processes in the Philippines. I think with that aspect, because here I know the pressure faced by the professors, by the faculty, by those in the academy here in the US, it's also not easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. Everywhere, I guess. In the Philippines, I just personally hope that like trivial things that could be improved will have to be improved so we can just focus on more important things. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
feel
a
like there's some
systemic
things you want to
issue.
talk about there, but yeah, there's some
Yes.
systemic issues. Do you mean more in the Philippines or more here?
More in the Philippines,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that made you feel like, am I sure I'm supposed to be here?
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, let me probably try to ask that question in a different way. Was there a moment that challenged you on this journey? Or if you don't want to talk about it, we can say skip. Is it the same thing as the previous one, maybe?
Well, yeah, I can have another answer to that.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, I think what has challenged me so far in this journey, although I'm not saying that this challenge will stay until in the future years, but so far I think it was a little challenging to be a young faculty member and try to do research.
Yeah.
I was just very thankful that my university was at that time was giving in-house research grants to support the junior faculty. So I was able to get some funding to pursue research. But I think that's also something I don't really know the actual situation because I was away for more than 3 years. But I hope there will be more support for the junior faculty to start up research.
Yeah. Okay, I think I'm going to leave that question of research and being a junior faculty till later. We'll look at that. And so when people see your CV or see you presenting or see you on LinkedIn, what is one thing you think they can't see or they've not been seen or they would not see from the public facing Kriza?
Yeah.
That's also very important to you.
Yeah. That's a very important question too.
Because people see us, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
this is president, is this, is that.
Yeah.
And it could be as simple as, I'm also afraid sometimes. You know,
yeah, definitely.
Sometimes I'm nervous, but don't use my answer. Anyway, what's one thing people don't see on your CV or on your LinkedIn that you think you want to talk about?
Yeah. Well, I may come off as like, I may have accomplished things, but I am also human. I also cry a lot. I also break down sometimes. And I think that side is not something that people normally see because I'm always enthusiastic. And that's genuinely me. Like I'm enthusiastic about the things that I do. But I also am human again. I also get anxious. I can get like pressured a lot of times, and that I can also struggle mentally sometimes, and that should not be a taboo. That's something that we all experience, regardless of what we see on social media or on the surface or how we see people. Like people can see me as someone very outgoing and enthusiastic, and that's who I am. But there may be days when I just want to like take a pause and think about my journey, both the ups and downs. And I think it's just the downs that people don't see.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's real.
If you were not in the academia, what do you think you would be doing?
I would have been a businesswoman.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah.
Business doing what?
Yeah, actually, I have some business experience. During the pandemic, we opened a business in my city, in our city in the Philippines.
Okay.
Through that business, I was able to share my passion for probiotics.
Oh, are you
so we
selling?
opened. It was a yogurt bubble tea business. Yes.
Okay.
So it was probiotic bubble tea, probiotic milk tea, and we were trying to go with the trend, increasing trend in like
Probiotics.
milk tea and probiotics. That's true. In the Philippines, and I was just really happy with that experience that I got to educate people about probiotics, about yogurt, about food science. So I used that platform to share about my expertise and my passion.
Okay.
So yeah, it was called the Tea Culture PH. The culture there means not just the Philippine culture of loving milk tea, but like
probiotics.
the probiotic culture.
Yes.
So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it was a really great experience.
So what's one thing you would say you learned out of being a businesswoman that's still working for you till now?
Yeah. One important lesson that I learned from that, because it's totally different from the academic world, is that it's really important to take care of people, to establish and keep good relationships with everyone, regardless of their position. Like, we cannot just respect someone because he or she is like high up in the ladder. We have to respect everyone, regardless of their status in life. So with that business experience, I was able to manage people and interact with a lot of customers, a lot of suppliers, important people in the business world, and that has really changed my perspective, and I would say improved how I deal with people.
So how did you handle difficult people? Because are we really able to maintain good relationship with everyone?
Oh,
How did you handle difficult people?
oh wow. I think it's I
Or do
think
you
it's
believe
just,
they are difficult people?
I'm not gonna say there are difficult people. There are difficult people for sure, you know.
Okay,
We
okay.
always have difficult people in our lives.
Exactly.
Like, however we want to define difficult people.
Yeah. So how did you
But
handle
I
it?
think with like these difficult people, we have to like just humble ourselves down and listen to them and figure out what to do after
Okay.
difficult conversations.
Okay.
You know, I think it's important to not just explain our side all the time, but also to listen. And we get to learn from each other, and then we also then figure out how to deal with these situations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll talk about the business later. And thank you for sharing that. So you talked about sometimes if you're very anxious and scared, how do you take care of your mental health? What are practical things you do that you would tell people?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. I think what has worked for me is that I would take a step back. Yeah. So whenever I get overwhelmed, I feel that my emotions are very high. When I get anxious and pressured, and or even like angry or like scared of many things, I would take a step back and then just look at the big picture, because these things may be bothering me just at that moment, but those do not define who I am. Like, I am a lot bigger than that. So I take a step back. Sometimes I do it literally though, just to take a step back, and then also figuratively take a step back, and then just look at the big picture. And then with that, it grounds me. So it calms me down. I think of all the good things that have happened in my life. At the same time, I don't ignore the bad things. I don't ignore these feelings. I think that's an important thing that I think I want to share. When we feel something is wrong, we should not like set it aside. We
Listen
should
to
not
yourself.
just like ignore it. I think that like what has worked for me is that I embrace these emotions. Emotions or feelings, or like, you know, I embrace these. I process them. I try to process them. Sometimes if I can manage by myself, I do that. Or if I would like, I would ask my husband to just so there's someone like some other person's perspective whenever I process these things. But I process them because I don't like to ignore them, because they will haunt me again at
It's
some
gonna come
point.
back, yeah.
It's gonna come back. So yeah, I take a step back and then just see how much has changed and how much I have improved, all the blessings that I've gotten so far. You know, just remember my purpose.
Yeah. I'm being tempted to ask a question right now.
Yeah.
And you're not under any obligation to answer, right?
Yeah.
The question is, has there been a time you think you ignored how you feel about something and it came back to haunt you? Because that comes from conviction that, oh, I think next time if I feel this way, even if I don't understand it, I'll try to, you know, what was the word you used? Embrace it and try to process it. So was there a time you ignored your gut feeling about something and it came back to haunt you?
Yeah.
Or to hurt you, if not haunt you, you know?
Yeah. I think I cannot pinpoint a specific situation like on the top of my head, but for sure there are times like that. Even if I say that I try to embrace and process everything, just does not happen like all the time.
Right.
Because, you know, we gotta keep up with life too.
Yeah,
And
I mean, there's no time to
you
keep
know,
talking. Yeah.
right. Like I cannot just spend the entire day processing these emotions. I gotta work. I got things to do. I think I've just learned how to manage that time wise. Whenever these things happen. But yes, for sure, there were times when I would try to ignore them because I'm too busy to do things. Like I'm too busy to like think about that. I'll deal with that later. And actually that happens to me, and then it comes back. And whenever it comes back, then I'm like, okay, I gotta deal with this right now. You know, I think, okay, now I can think of an example. I think
Tell us.
particularly that can be particularly applicable with grief. Yeah, like the loss of a loved one. When I was in my first year of my PhD, so I was already here in Knoxville in 2023. Yeah, I think that's when, or 2024.
If you did your PhD in 3 years and 1 semester, I asked for 2023 because I came in 2022. And I'm
Right.
here
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. If I'm right, that was 3 years ago or 2 years. No, I think it was 2 years.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Some time
whatever.
ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I lost my grandfather.
Oh.
So like I was grieving, but it was really difficult to deal with grief when we are away.
Yeah.
So like, you know, there are a lot of things that I had to struggle with being away from my family in the Philippines. I was really close to my grandfather. Yeah, so I think with that I was like it was difficult to grieve because I was not physically there. It's difficult to grieve when you're far away, you know. So I think with that I was like, okay, I got things to do now. So, you know, I'll check the messages in the group chat later. I'll watch the videos sent by my family and relatives later. But then it would always, like, you know, haunt you. Yeah. But then I'm thankful to have my husband and also friends who were here with me during that difficult time, and you know, to help me process the grief.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about the loss of your grandfather. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, you're fine. Yeah, thank you.
Well, I hope that everything is fine with you now.
He's in a better place. Yeah.
Yes. Anyways, thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you too.
So, when you think, what are you going to see in the academia, in your role as a professor, that you think, okay, this is the time for me to leave? Like, what would happen that would make you feel like this place I really want to be is no longer for me?
Oh, wow.
Or how would you feel? Like, simply, when do you think will be the time for you to leave? If that time ever comes.
Okay, I gotta put myself in the
in the setting.
In the setting and imagine things.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Well, I would say if bad things happen that are out of my control, maybe when I feel that I am not treated right, however vague that may sound, then that may be a sign to leave. Because I try to, or I really do my best in whatever job I'm doing. So if there are things that are not fairly done to me, like, you know, something unjust, I don't know, I cannot think of a particular example at this point.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, it may be time to leave.
Yeah, and these are questions from grad students about what they would like to hear from people I interview on this channel. And this question really actually comes from the experience of that grad student. And she said that she really loves to teach. She loves what she does as a graduate teaching assistant. But there are some mornings that she just does not want to teach. There are some days she doesn't feel like up to what she loves to do. And then she wonders, is this a sign that this space is no longer for me? Or is it just a phase that's gonna pass? So I don't know if ever in your journey, or you know, you face like, I don't want to do research anymore. Maybe just a day, and then the next day, maybe I can try. So how did you handle those times, if they've ever come to you, even when you were teaching and lecturing and researching in the Philippines? And what made you think it was not time to leave? It was just time to maybe rethink, or you get a question?
Yeah. I cannot speak for that particular
Yeah, of
person
course.
because it may have been a phase, it may be the
Yes.
end of her journey. I don't know. But in my case, I can talk about my journey with my PhD research here. Like it took a lot of time for me to figure out my research.
Yeah.
And in that journey, I had all I had all that imposter syndrome. Like
Yeah.
it's not easy. Like I always thought that if I work
Push
hard
that
for
forward.
this one, I can figure things out fast. But that's not what happened here. And that just really humbled me. And I was like, there's something inside me, a stronger voice telling me that's just a phase, that's not the end of your journey, that's not the end of you. I think that's where my motivation comes from. That I know, okay, I had a lot of like bumps in this journey, in my research journey here for my PhD. I stumbled many times, but then I just came back to my center. I just again took a step back and just thought of the bigger picture, that I'm here for a purpose. I'm here not to just succeed all the time.
All the time, yeah.
Like,
Even to know
we
how
cannot
to-
do that. Yeah. We will only grow if we fail. We can
Yes.
only know success if we fail.
Yes.
Many times, actually.
Yes.
So I think with that, my research journey was never easy here. Yeah, it was, it was tough. I don't know, maybe more than a year before I figured out what to do for my research. Like I tried many things, and I just know that those are needed. I think it's the mindset that if I fail this time, that does not mean that I will fail all the time. And that is something internal, and that's something that I hope for those who are really meant to be in this journey would also realize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is one thing that you think was tough? Like being practical and telling the story really. What was one challenge you faced on the road in your with your research here that you think, okay, if I could tell the first year PhD Kriza, I'll tell her this and this will happen and this is how it's gonna end,
Yeah. Oh wow. I know the journey is very different for everyone, but in my case, I think that the challenge or what happened was that I came here without a particular research topic yet. Like
Which most of us do,
right,
It's not
right.
just
Yes,
it doesn't mean
most
you're
of us.
bad, it's- you're not-
Most
you're not a
most
bad
of us
student by
do.
that,
Yeah, for sure. Like I came with my interest, but let me see. It just took a lot of time to figure out a particular topic that
Question
I
that's
had
trying
to
to
work
answer.
on. Yes, it was very broad, and in my case, since my research is on probiotics, there was not like a probiotic expert here.
Yeah.
My professor has been very helpful. Shout out to Dr. Zong, best mentor ever. He has been very helpful, teaching me a lot of the chemistry side of my research. The probiotic aspect, I think I had to figure out the microbiological stuff in through ways that I can. So I think that was a challenge also
Okay.
for me.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat in that my research is slightly different from what's done in my lab. And I know that struggle of your advisor is really helpful, they want to help, but this is not their mainstay. You have to do a lot of things on your own. And also that question of you come in with I want to do something. I want to do this, but then you realize, oh, it's too broad. I have to bring it out to a particular question I
That's
can do
true.
within my 3, 4, 5 years of PhD.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
true.
definitely
Yeah.
usually a lot. So
Yeah,
thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
So let's talk about people we're almost at the end of the interview, by the way.
Yay!
People who have helped you along the way, mentors, friends. What's the place of other people in your journey? And I don't know, I'm not going to say mention one person, but it's always a hard thing to say. Like, you mention one person who has helped you. There's always a lot of people. But just talk to me about what mentorship has been for you and how it has helped you where you are right now. Mentorship, help, friends, husband, sheep.
Yeah, for sure. With my journey, I attribute a lot of my success to my advisor, Dr. Song, because he really challenged me in many ways, and he was very supportive of not just my professional but also my personal growth. I've been very enthusiastic in many things, and he would always support the things that I wanted to do. At the same time, he helped keep me on track with my progress in my PhD. I think it was very helpful that we had bi-weekly meetings, so we would meet every 2 weeks, and then we would share progress, and that I took everything seriously. And I think it would still go back to like the teachability and the mentorship. I took all his feedback seriously, and that has helped me get through my dissertation successfully. And aside from my advisor as like my main mentor in this PhD journey, I would also attribute this success to my husband, to my friends here in Knoxville, to my family in the Philippines, because I would say that they have walked beside me. Like, they were not like behind or in front, they walked beside me, like they were with me. They may not have experienced the particular struggles I was experiencing, but they were there for me. And just having that community is very important to not just survive, but to thrive in this kind of environment. They've helped keep me sane.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So what do you think, what's one question you think more people should be asking more about, like asking themselves more as they go on their journey? What's one thing, if you were to advise people, think about this more in your PhD, as you progress as a professor like you are? What's that one thing you tell people? Think about this more.
Yeah, I think the one question that people can think about more is that, how else can I grow? How can I grow? Like, how can this help me grow and improve as a person? Because like now I'm at the end of my PhD journey. I'm not thinking that it's the end of my learning. In the next chapter, I have to ask myself, how will this chapter help me grow? And then that would just shape my my next goals in my career. Not just in my career, but also in my life in general. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's wrap this up. You're going to the Philippines.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're able to talk about it. This is definitely not a very let's talk about
typical.
Yeah. So
I know.
why do you have a contract with your school? Why did you choose to go back to the Philippines?
Well, that's one. I have a contract with my university.
Okay.
But I guess even if I did not have a contract with my university, I think it's just the Filipino in me that wants to give back and serve the country that has taught me a lot. And again, I can only do so much within my sphere of influence. I'll do what I can to share my knowledge and skills, to support and to influence the next generation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much,
Yeah,
Kriza.
thank you
Dr.
too.
Kriza
Correct. Perfect.
Calumba. Thank you so much for your time. I wish you all the best as you continue to talk. Maybe the next time I'll see you, do you guys do tenureship in the Philippines?
Yeah, I'm already tenured there.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at that. She's already tenured. The next time I see you, maybe you'll be a full professor by that time.
Oh, yeah. Looking forward to that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And see you next time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. She's like, what's that? Thank you so much.
Thank
and I will see you in the next video. Bye.